Prefabricated construction is increasingly being used around the world. But what is it exactly? Who are the major players and what does the future hold? You're watching Inside AB. I'm Jeremy Lawrence and I'm joined here in the studio by Bernd de Bousmond. Bernd, prefab construction. You talk to a major sort of proponent of this these days, Robbie Antonio, very clever young CEO of Revolution Precrafted. Can you tell us about him?
Well, Robbie Antonio, whose company is based in Manila in the Philippines, what they do is they build made-to-order designer homes by famous architects, for example, Zaha Hadid architects. But they use it doing prefabricated technology. So what does that mean? It means that it's built off-site, taken somewhere, and assembled in the location. It's much faster and much cheaper than using traditional methods. So he's taken his concept. Now he's in 22 countries. He hopes to be in 50 by the end of the year. And he's in the UAE. He signed a $3.2 billion deal with 7 tides to supply apartments and villas on the world islands. And in Bahrain, he's also building 500 modular eco villas over the next 5 years. So the benefit of his company is that they build things very quickly, but also still luxuriously, I suppose.
I guess this is a difference because when I think of prefab buildings, I think of post-World War II temporary buildings that lasted for years, even into my childhood. So it's not a new idea, is it?
No, it's not a new idea. Actually, the first ones, if you look back far enough, in the 1500s, there were buildings that were assembled in the Netherlands, for example, taken apart and reassembled in London. The best example is the one you gave after World War II. And during World War II, a lot of prefabricated kind of huts were built for the military, for the US and British militaries around the world. And then after the war, there was, of course, a housing shortage in the UK.
Yeah.
So a lot of prefabricated houses were built then, but those were, compared to what's possible today, quite crude and very simple ideas.
Right. My childhood school, they say kids today don't know they're born. So locally, are there other players in this space?
There are. One in particular stands out. The company is called Kef Katera. It's a merger between a Silicon Valley-based tech company and a UAE headquartered company called Kef Infra, which was also in Arabian Business last year. Now, what they do is they build. It's very different from Revolution Precrafted in that they focus on schools, canteens, hospitals, even in India and in other parts of the world, but primarily in India. And they build them very, very quickly and very, very cheaply. For example, they built a 500-bed hospital in Calicut in 18 months. The industry standard would have been about 4.5 years, probably. Wow. And they built it very, very quickly. I know in other Indian cities, they're building canteens for workers to eat at the rate about 1 a week. And at a fraction of the cost that other companies were saying they could do it. So they're the big player, but the
more utilitarian space.
Exactly.
Right. And what about other parts of the world? I know China. I remember reading things about this a few years ago.
Yeah, in China it's interesting because they've taken the prefab concept, but they've also mixed it with 3D printing. So there's companies that are 3D printing houses, the various pieces of houses, and assembling them in place. For example, a company called WinSun built 10 houses in 24 hours, each for $5,000. They've also built kind of larger mansions. They've built apartment blocks. The Sky Tower, which is a kind of a scrapped tower that was supposed to be taller than the Burj Khalifa. Same concept. They were building it in pieces and kind of stacking it like Lego blocks. That didn't end up happening, but the idea was there. And in the US, Marriott International is now prefabricating parts of their hotels. They started last year. They announced that they'd be prefabricating parts of 50 hotels. So far, only a few of them have actually been opened yet. But what they're doing is, for example, assembling the bathrooms of hotel rooms off-site, just kind of bringing them in and just plugging them into place. So I think as more companies realize how quick and cheap this is, it'll be something we hear about a lot more.
Okay. Question for the viewers, which would be interesting, is why do you think we haven't seen more of this in the region so far? Because it seems like a very obvious thing to do, to build quickly, cheaply, and be able to build luxury places as well. So why haven't we done that yet? Do comment below and share your views. But Bernd, back to you. Do you think we'll see more of this in the region? Why haven't we seen it more up to now?
I do. I think it's still perhaps not a well-known technology or possibility. Yeah. I mean, a lot of construction companies are older companies that have long legacies of doing things a certain way. Yeah. I think it's more kind of an awareness and mentality issue than whether it's possible or not, because it's obviously possible to know.
Right, okay. Well, thanks for running us through that. You've been watching Inside AB. Please do subscribe, comment and share as always. Join us every weekday at 10 a.m. We'll see you next time.